I've ran close to 15,000 miles over the last 6 years. I love it, man. It was my next to God. It was my first love. I love getting up in the morning, and I love being alone with my thoughts.
And lacing up my shoes, especially when it's just breaking daylight and you're out there and you're running as the world is waking up. There's something beautiful and powerful and spiritual about that.
My feet hitting the pavement, feeling my breath rise and fall, and listening. It's music to me. I feel a rush whenever I hit that runner's high.
It gives me meaning, joy. It's my medicine. It's what I turn to whenever I'm overwhelmed. It gives me what the drugs promise me.
I was around 8, 9 years old, and I show up at my dad's trailer that he was living at, and there were trash bags, 55-gallon trash bags full of weed in the kitchen, and they were just all over. But you know, he constantly told me growing up, he's like, I don't want you to do the things that I'm doing. I want you to earn your money by using your mind, and you're going to do great things in life. And he would tell me that all throughout my life. You can sit here and say, like, don't do as I do as I say do, but then what? I'm going to follow the example, right? It doesn't matter what you say, it's going to follow what you're doing. I see the example that was being set for me, and then I just took it to a whole nother level, though. I remember going up to these parties after football games. We were doing meth, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to chase that high. It was like, man, I need this. I have to have this to be alive. After I graduated high school, I was in a relationship. I had my first son, and I was mixed up in this partying lifestyle. Started running around on her and got another girl pregnant. Had my second son within almost a year to the day, 2 different women. Because my life was spiraling out of control, I didn't have the ability to be a dad. My youngest son, who was 5 at the time, was living with me. And I sat in the bathroom, and I had this needle loaded with a pill in it, ready to go, and I'm staring at it. And my son is beginning to try to knock on the door and look underneath the door, asking me, Dad, what are you doing? And I remember grabbing a towel and laying it at the bottom of the door. So I stuck that needle in my arm, and it was on for years after that.
I was in a very desperate time at that point in my life. I had no purpose. I had no goals. I had no vision. My dad just got diagnosed with terminal cancer. It was a perfect storm.
My mom calls me and she says, get to the hospital. Your dad's not going to be here much longer. I got to this hospice room that they moved him to, and he could barely talk. He said, I'm not worried about you. You're going to come out of this one day. He's like, you're going to do something great for our family, for our community, and for the world. And I literally remember standing there vividly thinking to myself, no, this is how I'm going to die. I'm in the bathroom connected to his hospice room, and I can hear his heart rate monitor. Everything's quiet. We got family coming in and out of the room to see him. And it flatlines. And I pull the needle out of my arm, wipe the blood off, stick it in my pocket, and I walk out to my dad's bedside. I remember kissing him on the forehead. And I walked out of the hospice room and I called my drug dealer and I said, I need something. My dad just died. Because I didn't want to face just the ruins of my life, you know, and how things seemed like they were never going to be okay again. Staring at this syringe, and I put so much meth and heroin in it. And I'm like, yes, this is probably going to kill me. Oh well. I finally show up in an ambulance and I'm not breathing at that time. Paramedic calls the ER doctor and she's like, he's not breathing. We can't get, he's not responding to the Narcan. And the ER doctor said, if you've got more Narcan, keep giving it to him. Don't stop working on him. And I remember coming to, and I remember being so mad because I wasn't dead. I didn't want to be brought back.
Yeah, when we get there, I'm leaving because I promised you I'd ride with him.
I had outstanding warrants for probation violation, for some high-speed chases, a slew of charges. And they finally caught me. I remember being in a mindset of like, well, this is my life now. This is who I am. I'm just an addict. I'm just a junkie. I had no intention of changing. After a couple weeks of cleaning up and drying out, I had started to pray, write out a letter, write out a prayer, begging God to, if he was real, to show me that my dad was still with me somehow. And so I lay the pen down, I walk upstairs. This was on a Friday morning. The pastor, the jail minister, had been coming in for years, never changed his schedule. He came in and shared the gospel with me. And so I'm seeing this pastor out, and he shakes my hand the same way my dad used to, and he winks at me. He says, I love you, son. I'll be back in here to see you again. And it wrecked me. It wrecked me. And I knew then that God had sent that man to give me what I needed in that moment. It changed my whole life. I wanted to change everything. I wanted to change the way that I talk. I wanted to change my habits. I wanted to change how I seen the world, you know, and I had the most exhilarating feeling of freedom that I've ever had in my entire life, and I was in C-Pod, locked up in a jail. I was constantly asking God, what do I need to do? How do I kind of step into this purpose? In a newspaper, the Cherokee One Feather comes across the table, and I see a group of Eastern Band members and Cherokee Nation members preparing to do the Remember the Removal bike ride. They ride the northern route, the Trail of Tears, which starts in New Echota, Georgia, and finishes in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. So it's around 1,000 miles that they ride the bike. So after I got out of jail, I went and tried to apply for it, and I was denied because I had a felony drug conviction on my record. I ended up taking it all the way to council. They all just looked at me and said, we can't do anything about it. You know, we didn't make the rules. Before I could even say anything, I don't know where it came from, but I was like, well, if you're not gonna let me ride the bike, then I'll run it. I didn't want to be laughed at. You know, I didn't want people to say, Kallup just, you know, he's full of crap. You know, he's just like so many other addicts. You know, they say a lot, but they don't ever, you know, do what they say. I took things to the extreme. I would run to my substance abuse treatment classes. I would bike to Silva to Bible studies, like I remember doing that at 3 o'clock in the morning. I got up at 3 and rode all the way from Cherokee to Silva, which is like 20-something miles. So I was doing crazy stuff like that, but I knew I had to train myself, not only physically, but mentally, to endure that type of event, that type of run. I remember that first day, I was just, the runner's high didn't stop.
Kallup McCoy OD'd half a dozen times, then turning his life around and committing to faith, exercise, and nutrition, running 777 miles along the Trail of Tears to Oklahoma in 40 days.
I had people driving along the interstate, blowing the horn. They'd seen the story, people stopping, asking to pray with me. Just like with anything else, you got these highs, you got these extreme lows, you got these mountaintop moments, you got these valleys, and that happened to me several times along this trip. It was so hard to get myself up out of bed, because like I said, this is all new to me. I'd been out of running for 16 years. I hadn't been running at all. And so to commit to this and to show up day in and day out when I didn't have a lot of experience or didn't really know what I was doing. The lowest point was when I got the call my aunt passed away. And hearing your mom just cry like a baby because her baby sister died. I was running to hopefully inspire people that were connected to me and follow me to maybe take some contrary action, and that included my aunt. I was hoping that by the way that I was living my life, she might change hers. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. You have a sense of survivor's guilt a lot of times whenever you've come out the other side and you see so many people that you love losing their lives, and you ask, why me? And that was something that I did a lot of, asking why me. Caitlin and I actually went down to the river, to the water, and we washed. We believe as Cherokee that water washes away any spirits, right? Any bad luck. It renews us, it gives us strength, and it gives us an opportunity to connect and connect with God, to connect with Creator. God has given me so many chances to do something amazing with my life. As we approached Tahlequah, I had several people reach out to me that day that lived nearby or in Tahlequah, and they were like, I want to come run with you. People I'd never met before just reached out randomly on social media, showed up, and we started in Stillwell, Oklahoma, and it's close to a 30-mile push into Tahlequah. I'm in front, and there's 15, 20 people behind me, and we're all together as a unit. And there's so many people on the side of the road in lawn chairs, and there's people driving just slow, cheering for us and clapping for us, and just talking about how this was inspiring to them. And as we get closer and closer, you got that everything, the emotions are building. I was telling everybody that this was for all the bands of Cherokee people, that it wasn't just an Eastern band thing, that I wanted to inspire anybody that has been following the journey. I was so proud, just standing in front of everyone and thanking everybody, and just letting him know that that run was dedicated to them and to our ancestors and the people that were struggling, that God's got a big plan and purpose for their life, and they can do anything that they put their minds to, and as long as they put their faith in God, you know, all things are possible. I went into that whole journey thinking that all I was going to ever be was known as a drug addict, and I'm so much more than that. Rest Hope Recovery and Consulting, this men's transitional living home is for men who are struggling with substance use disorder and mental health issues. And the reason that we're opening up a men's recovery house is because we have such a high rate of mental health and substance use disorder in our communities. We have so many, myself included for so long, so many men that were absent from their kids' lives. The tarnished relationship with my sons is the hardest struggle that I've faced and still face today. You know, I don't want people to see me in this documentary and be like, oh yeah, Kallup, he's got it together. But in reality, I don't have a relationship with my oldest son. My relationship with my youngest son is fractured and just barely hanging on by a thread. But yet they see all these things that I'm accomplishing out here publicly, but they don't see what's going on behind the scenes. And you know, man, I make mistakes. You know, I don't get it right, but I want to continue to put in the work, and I may not ever get a word of forgiveness from my son. I'm after just continuing to set a good example so that hopefully one day that he knows that I was doing the right thing, you know, and hopefully that he can look up to me and be like, you know what, Dad, I'm proud of you for being where you're at today. And one of the main motivations behind this house is to see those relationships restored. I want to see dads in here, man, hugging their kids. You imagine that? Like a dad that's not seen their kid in months or years, and they come to see their dad graduate from this program. That's going to be amazing. And it's going to make everything that we've been building for the past several years worth it. Like when we see that, there's going to be nothing greater, man. There ain't no race that I've ever competed in. There ain't no distance that I've ever ran that's going to compare to seeing that. You know, we look at, as Cherokees, we look at how are you affecting the next 7 generations. I was made to create something like this because when I'm long and gone, you know, later down the road, the legacy that I want to leave is not just like, oh, well, Kallup could run all these races and do it. Like the house that Kallup and Caitlin built together is still standing and it's changing lives 7 generations from now.
My name's Kallup McCoy II, and I am a man of God. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. I'm a servant. And I'm just a guy who's trying to make the world a better place. And a runner. I like to run sometimes.
A new center opens to assist people who are fighting addiction on the Cherokee Reservation.
The ribbon was cut today on the Res Hope Gadugi House on the reservation. Its mission is to help people recover from drug and alcohol addiction.